So this novel is called The Soul Hunters, and I've been working on it for about 2 years now. And it's the most difficult thing I've ever done for a couple of reasons. One is I do struggle with novels more than short stories, and not just because they're longer, and they take longer, of course, but because I tend to think in terms of moments. Because of my fondness for short stories, I end up structuring my novels like a bunch of short stories. I have 6 different points of view in this novel, the 3 brothers and their current wives. If nothing else, going into the Army would have enabled Josh, assuming he returned from Vietnam alive, to go to school on the GI Bill, which would have made things a lot easier. Now, well, more struggles for everyone. He worked his way down the row of squash, then skirted the perimeter by the road. He tossed the weeds he'd picked onto the gravel shoulder. At some point, his father had shut off the hose and was now bent over something, examining, pushing leaves aside. He was an imposing figure with long arms and big hands and wide, square shoulders, all of which made him look taller than he actually was. They were no more than 50 feet away from each other, but oddly operating within their own galaxies. It reminded Josh of those Wild Kingdom episodes where 2 bears would wander into the same meadow and ignore each other, each waiting for the other to move on and find another meadow. When neither did, inevitably a vicious clash erupted which would settle the issue. Such face-offs typically ended with one bear limping off, angry and humiliated. It was all a simple matter of instinct, the voiceover would say. He was ready to be the shamed one, ready to lower his head and trudge into the house, sit at the kitchen table and allow his mother to comfort him with some hard salami and cheese, maybe a couple of leftover ravioli from the night before, when he heard, "Hey, come over here a minute. I want to show you something." "You know what this means, don't you?" his father said. "That animals are getting into your garden?" "Well, yeah." His father released the zucchini plant, which thankfully sprung back in front of the furry remains covering them. He lowered himself onto both knees then, plucked a tuft of stray grass from the soil. "Rabbit, looks like. I can deal with rabbits. But how do you suppose it came to be in the condition this one is in now?" Josh felt one foot sinking slightly into the soft earth and shifted his weight. How did it come to be in this condition? His mind went blank. Landmine? Chainsaw? Atom bomb? "Don't know," he said. His father brushed his hands together. "My guess? Coyote." "Oh. Hey, Dad? Probably coming from over there." He gestured toward the woods that bordered Route 33 and went on for miles, where he often hunted small game. "Might need to put up a fence, keep my .32 handy, and keep an eye on that dog of yours. Coyotes don't view dogs as cousins. They view them as supper." "Okay, I will. But listen, Dad." "Yeah?" He looked up at Josh and squinted. A tinkle of wind chimes carried from the back porch. "So Josh said, I went for my physical today." "Uh-huh." He leaned back on his heels. "How'd it go?" "Well, I kind of failed." And his father's gaze left him for just a moment, a brief scan of the sky above the grape arbor, then returned. "You did?" "Yeah." "Shoulder?" Josh nodded. He sensed a pulling in his chest. He was ashamed. He was insanely happy. He had the distinct understanding that he was safe, yet this safety made him sick with fear. His father rose, nodded almost imperceptibly. "That's good," he said, and let out a breath of unmistakable relief. Josh felt a cry rise up in him, but he choked it back, expelling a sound like a goose honking. "Get a shovel, would you?" his father said. "Let's take care of this thing."